All right, we've been going over this series of articles, and we're up to the last one. And I'm not going to lie to you, I had nothing but problems when I tried to publish this thing to Azure. So I finally got a hold of Evan, the other Evan, and actually I've got an Evan in my first year too, so there's three Evans. But Evan over in St. Louis, and he said, I got it to work. And I said, well, how'd you get it to work? And he goes, we did all this fidgeting around. And I said, yeah, but you have some steps? He goes, no, we never wrote anything down. Well, that didn't help much, okay? And he said, but here's a URL that should help you. No, I'd already seen that URL, and the bottom line is this. It's almost click, click, click for Visual Studio 2017. It's not for Visual Studio 2015. Now, so what can we do? Well, I'll tell you the things I was thinking about. First thing I thought about, well, we could all uninstall Visual Studio 2015 and install 2017, but the problem with that is we're working on that project for the St. Charles County Economic Development Council, and that could screw things up pretty easily. You know, what if it didn't work? It might not be able to go back and put 2015 in. All right, I thought, well, that was one thing. Then a second thing, I thought, well, I was going to show you this, and this is basically deploying to Amazon Web Services. All right. In order to do that, you need a credit card. And I didn't know if everybody in this room has a credit card or not. Now, so I went up and looked online. What do you do if you don't have a credit card? And they're like, well, if you're a business, you don't need a credit card because we'll just invoice the business. But I don't think any of you in here are a business, so that's not an option. Now, even though for Amazon Web Services you get it for free, they need a credit card anyway, so they have something online. So if you ever change, because you can literally be running a project and you can change from the free to the paid. You know, if you wanted to make it available to a bunch of people or do a bunch of other stuff, you could do that. Well, to be honest with you, Azure requires a credit card also. All right. So I'm investigating other options that don't require anything. All right, but I want to show you what I did. So this was the article, Publish MVC Database First Site to Azure. All right, so as it says, this part focuses on publishing the web app and database to Azure. It has to be done as a two-step process. All right, so it says you need an Azure account to complete the tutorial. I believe you all can get an Azure account, and yes, it is, like it says, it is for free. Although they did ask me for a credit card, okay? But you probably can get on just from the account that you got here, the Microsoft Imagine, I would guess. But it didn't start out, it started out like it wasn't going to be too bad. It says to publish your web app, right-click the project and select Publish. So I want to show you what I did. You'll notice if I right mouse click, because I went in and I actually signed up for Amazon Web Services also. So if you look right there, I've got that. Now I'm going through a different error with that I'm hoping I can fix very soon, so I can show you how that looks. But I'm just going to click Publish. All right. So it says on here, well, how do you want to publish it? All right. Now, one thing to realize is, like with this thing that I've been going through, this tutorial series, if you look here, it's 12/22/2014. What does that mean? Well, in English, it means it's almost 3 years old, right? So not everything looks exactly the same. So when you look at this, and it looks pretty much the same. But again, as you go through it, there might be things that differ a little bit. All right, I found one video online that I saw for Amazon Web Services, and the guy said, now do this, now do this. Oh, then bring up this screen. You couldn't get to that screen because it doesn't exist anymore. All right. So I had to go in and try to, find a different one. And that's why I said I'm still looking for that. So it says here, if you're not signed into Azure, then you have to provide your credentials. In other words, your account stuff. Then select New to create a new web app. All right. So I'm going to come over here, and I want Azure. It's interesting. I never did that before. So let's see. Okay. This is totally different, but I have not done this. I have not done this since I put in the Amazon Web Services. But now that I put in the Amazon Web Services, I'm getting a totally different screen than I got before, which is interesting. All right. Free trial resource group. This is actually really good because this is what it's supposed to do, is fill up all this stuff for me. It never did this before. So I'm going to click Create. And what it does is it's going and it's configuring some stuff for the regular project, and then it'll go in. This is really good. All right, and I'm going to click Publish. It's never done this before. It's always the other way around, that it works for me, and then when I come in to show you, nothing works. Today, nothing works, and I'm coming in to show you, and it's working. But I'm still not. I'll believe it when it happens. So. All right, I don't know if you saw what I just did. I don't know if you followed what I just did, but I'm going to go over the steps in just a minute. The cool thing is, right now, that is out on the internet. That has been published to Azure. Now, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. So I'm going to ask you in just a minute, okay, to go through these steps with me. Now, I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be personal. But how many people in here don't have any kind of credit card whatsoever? You're not going to get charged anything. You are not going to get charged. It's a free account. But they need some way to track you. All right? They promise you you will not be charged for anything. Okay? So, all this stuff is cool, except if you look up on the screen here, so I can go, I'm on the home page, I can go to the About page, I can go to the Contact page, etc. All right? The only problem I'm going to have is when I go back to the home page and I click List of Students. It might spin for a little bit, but I can virtually guarantee you that eventually it's going to come up and give me an error. Because when I deployed that, it's the code that you deploy. You have to deploy the database, all right, in a separate, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to have to do that separately. So what I'm going to ask is that you try to follow along with me. Now, if you do not have an account, any kind of an account, and you don't want to say it, maybe just like, well, everybody else has got a credit card and I don't, then just watch what we're doing. All right, I'm looking into another that I think I just found out about that supposedly is free and they don't ask for anything from you. But I haven't had a chance to test that out yet. All right? And I'm going to try to do that tonight, and then I can show that to you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a lab day, but I'm going to try to show it to you anyway. So, if you have not done so, please get into Visual Studio. Please bring up the project that we've been working on. All right? And I just wanted to show you very quickly one other thing. So you saw this, and you saw how, if you believe me, and you have no reason, I guess, not to, that literally, yeah, they got an error. But before that, when I go to home, that's the website. All right? So why am I telling you that? Well, I'm going to close this. In fact, I'm not even going to close it. I think it's going to close itself, but we're going to find out in just a second. I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to go back to here, and I am going to, this is not running, so I'm going to go back in again, and I'm going to find, I don't know. There's my home and my index, all right, and you see how it says ASP.NET. Everybody see that? I'm going to just change this, and I'm going to go ASP.NET MVC example. That's all I'm doing. All right. I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to rebuild it because it shouldn't hurt anything to rebuild it. And there are different ways that I can do this, but what I'm going to try to do is just to right mouse click on that file and choose Publish, just on that file. And if you look down below, it says it's successfully been published. Okay? So if I go back online here, all right, and I refresh, see that? Now that may not sound cool or look cool to you, but it's frickin' cool to me, because what I did was I went back into Visual Studio, changed one file, right mouse clicked on that file, told it to republish just that file, all right, went back again to the internet, refreshed, and the change was that had just said ASP.NET. I added the MVC example. Now, if I changed multiple files, I could go back and republish the entire project. Did you hear that? So if I had changed multiple files in here, let's just say I changed a whole bunch of these, I could go back again and right mouse click on here and choose Publish. But you don't have to. If you're only making a very simple change like that, there really and truly is no reason to do that. All right? So, that said, we're going to try this, and if it doesn't work at all for you, it's okay. All right? But we're going to try it anyway to see if it works, and at least we'll have gone through the process of doing this. Okay? So, it says here, you need an Azure account to complete this tutorial. And my guess is, that none of you have an Azure account. So, you can go out to right here. And again, if you don't want to follow along with this because you don't have an account or whatever, then don't. All right, we're going to have to find a way for everybody in here to be able to publish out to the internet and to do it in a way that's free. And if you don't have an account, that you're able to do something anyway. All right, make that a little bit bigger. That is plenty big. All right, so if you go out there right now, you'll need to open up an internet, a window, a browser window, and type in that. You probably don't even need the https:// probably just azure.microsoft.com/en-us/free. Again, notice, create your Azure free account today. They even give you a $200 credit just in case you decide at a later time you want to change it from a free account to a paid account. That's Microsoft's little incentive to try to get you to change to a paid account. But they realize that many of the people who are going to be using this are indeed students. All right. So, as it says, start free. If you arrow down far enough, you'll see that it says start free. Notice, we use your credit card information for identity verification, but you will not be charged until you choose to upgrade. Everybody see that? Okay, I have no idea if you put in a bogus credit card number, if it would work or not. I don't know. I wouldn't try that technically if I were you. All right, bud. So click the Start Free button. And hopefully you got something like this, correct? Did it come up like this for you? Okay. Now, my hope is that you're able to use the Worker School account, because you should have, do you have something in there that has your name in it already? All right. I didn't know because mine is set up differently than yours. I actually set up mine on a personal account because I've got a Microsoft account. So I did it that way. All right. But I'd like you to at least try using your work or school account. Okay. Mine says redirecting. And it's asking then for you to log in. And hopefully your password was saved, because I don't know your passwords. Thought they made your passwords like password or something like that, but I don't remember, to be honest with you. This is really good, though, because I planned out the whole period because I knew this wouldn't work, and then it worked for me. So, all right. So I'm taking for granted that people were able to get in then. All right, and set all that stuff up. Again, it's going to be different for everybody depending upon how you do it. All right, then go back to your project. So go back into Visual Studio, please. And after you've got everything done, I'll wait for a second, I'm not in a hurry. But for those of you who have completed it, then right mouse click on your project name, not on the solution name, but on your project name, right mouse click on it and choose Publish. Now, the good news is, if we get this to work, even if we have a problem with the database stuff, even if that does happen, I hope it doesn't, but even if it does, if we can get the regular project to publish, what does that mean? That means that you can go back to any of your assignments that you did before Chapter 12, and you can put those out there, and you can publish them to Azure, all right? Plus, you can go out and you can do at least the first test that we did. In fact, you can probably do both tests, because we didn't, on those tests that we did for the loan thing, we didn't use a database. So you can publish all of that stuff too to Azure. All right. So the bottom line is, what I'm getting to is, you will be able to have links to your ASP stuff, or ASP.NET stuff. This is an Azure portal. All right, that literally is what this is. That's what they claim, at least. Now, they have something, too, called the Azure SDK, Software Development Kit. And I thought, well, that's got, you'll definitely need that.
It keeps failing on my sign-in.
Fails on your sign-in?
Yeah.
Everybody?
That looks different. It is for sure, because I have an existing Microsoft account. It's been going on too long.
It's not even letting you try again.
Oh. Let's see. Yeah. Azure Classic one. Okay. There's that counter error, which
Well, otherwise, if you want to try it through your school and see if you can get it to work from there,
okay.
as opposed to a private one, and see if anybody gets any further with it. Has anybody been able to successfully do it, set it up? set everything up, you don't have to do any customization.
I'm in.
Okay.
So this is
Good people, right?
my
I
dashboard.
love that.
Anybody else get in?
What's this all about? This dashboard.
Oh, if you click, it'll take you literally to the dashboard. What that has is a bunch of tutorials and stuff in it, so that, you know, you can go there if you want to learn more about it. Because actually what Azure does is it lets you publish not just ASP.NET, but you can even publish Java out in the cloud. All right, on this. So they're trying to do everything they can do to be everything to everybody, I guess. Yeah, somebody had asked, there is actually a dashboard that you can get to in Azure, and what that has in it is there's tutorials in there, there are some videos in there. I found a terrific video, and I'm like, well, I can show that to you. It's only 4 minutes long, except, of course, it's for 2017. And none of the stuff, it's totally different.
Are we going to be using Visual Studios after
No.
this? Okay.
No. Question was, are we going to be using Visual Studio after this semester? Next semester, we're going to, in fact, if your machine is really slow and you think this could be part of it, you can uninstall Visual Studio at the end of the semester. All right. Next semester, we're going to be installing Eclipse, which is a different editor. We're going to use that, and what you're getting, I decided, is you're going to get what I'm calling the Whirlwind Java Tour. You're going to come in here, and in 3 weeks, we're going to write about 20 Java programs. We're going to do the entire course in 3 weeks.
Is there a reason why we're going to be doing this with that?
Yes. And it's so that the rest of the semester we can do Android. And we can learn Kotlin, and we can write Android apps. I'd like to start writing Android apps almost by the beginning of February. So we have all of February, all of March, all of April, and the beginning of May, or as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? And all the programs we write, we're going to write them together. I'm literally going to be typing along with you. And we'll be taping it. And if I have time during the break, I'll do the programs first, and I'll throw them all out there, all the tapes out there on the YouTube channel. All right, so all the stuff will be out there. But there's just so many similarities. And one of the ones that we're going to write, and I think you've even done this before in other languages, we might have done it in Java, I don't know, or C#, is, for example, we're going to write the BMI thing. But then as we write it, we're going to convert that eventually from a Java program, we're going to convert that into a Kotlin Android application. All right, and you can actually put it on your phone then if you need an Android phone. But if you've got an Android phone, you can put it on there. All right, the stuff that we'll be doing will not, well, that's actually a lie. I was going to say will not work for iPhones, but the claim is that Kotlin is now being changed so that it'll work on either device. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but you'll be able to at least try if you want to put it on your iPhone and see if it works. But I have no guarantee on that. But you should be able to create an app here. And when you create the app, you should be able to take the executable, and I'll show you how to do it, download it to your phone or anybody else's phone, and they can immediately run it. It won't go to the App Store, but if you want to submit something for the App Store, I think the way that it works with them is, I think it's a one-time $25 payment that you have to make, and then it's lifetime, all right, as opposed to Apple, which is $99 a year. And with Apple, you can't do that. With Apple, you can't just take an executable and copy it to your machine. All right. So. All right. Have you been able to get in? No?
I have to fix my program before I publish it. So.
Okay. Valerie, could you get in?
I don't have a card on me.
You don't have a card on you. Okay.
Rights in my car. So.
Well, we'll do it during the break. Ivy, were you able to get in? Okay. So you guys got in. Dominic, did you get in?
Working on it.
Okay. All right. So, if you were able to get in, for those of you who could, and I'll run back over this again after you get, after yours comes up, hopefully, and But as it says, then what you do is you come back to your program here, you right mouse click on the program, and you choose Publish. All right, now yours is going to look different than mine because I've already published it. All right, so I'll tell you what, let me do this. Let me close this. Let me bring up the other one that I have, which is, so I'm going to start up another instance here of Visual Studio, and I'm going to bring up my MVC Demo2.
That's great. Good job.
All right, so if you look on the screen here, those of you who are to that point, you can right mouse click on the name of your project and choose Publish. All right, when you do that, it should come up and look like this. And you want to make sure, and this is the one that's there by default. Is this what yours looks like? Nope.
Mine has more options.
Okay, because so did mine when I first did it. That's why I'm wondering if doing this thing to Elastic Beanstalk did something or not. Choose the top one that says Microsoft Azure Web Apps.
Why is my font red?
That's a good question. I have not seen the font being read before.
Is it because I have a theme in this or something?
I don't know.
Huh. Well, it's not preventing me from doing it. So,
That's good. You're actually farther ahead than he is. That's good with what yours says.
How do you back up the database so the database shows, so let's fix this.
What we're going to do is you got to do the database separately.
Okay.
Try clicking now.
And we will have both the other one to just copy and paste.
Did you ever do
Because
the
everything
dashboard?
was like the edit, so.
Yeah.
gotta fix that.
Okay, that's not good, but we'll see if we can get that to work or not. What happened there before you did that?
I added a search bar on,
No, not that. Oh, so that's an error in your app?
yeah, because I tried to add a search bar.
Okay.
And,
Well, you might want to take that, what you added for the search bar, and you might want to remove that. Now,
it worked last night, but,
oh, I believe you.
okay.
Does it make sense to everyone? I probably didn't show it, but does it make sense to everyone that before you go and publish this, you should always run it first, and just to make sure everything's working and looks the way that it should look? Because, you know, if it's got an error in it and you publish it,
will it
and
run
you-
faster off of Azure?
will it run faster off of Azure?
Yeah. Rather than.
It all depends on the connection speed and everything else.
Yeah.
But in an ideal world, yours is going to come up and it's going to look like this. Now, Evan's look different, all right? And his is more the way that it actually looks in this handout. So let's take a look at that handout. They tell you to do this. They tell you to click New, and I believe this is what you had. Correct? Something similar to this, at least. All right? Now, sometimes when you do this, it'll say this stuff. Sometimes it says other things because, again, this is 3 years old. All right? Now, with yours, and I'm just going to look at you here to tell you this, and I can look at Ivy's and see if hers is in the same way. But the claim is, what it says there where it's got web app name, if I were you, I'd put like either your first initial and your last name or your whole name, and then put, what is this again? Rankin, you know, period. And don't put anything else after it because it's going to put the other stuff after the period that you see there. When you get done, if there's a green check mark there, that means that that domain name is available. All right. Just click right there. Good. All right. Click New. All right. click in the yellow box there, put your first initial and your last name. And something like Rankin. And you see how you've got the green check mark? That means that domain name is, or that URL is available. All right. Now, because both of yours are the same, but I can read yours a little easier than I can read hers, where it says app service, is that what it is? All right. You have to click there. You click the down arrow, and I think it's going to say the word new when you click the down arrow. Yeah, or create a new. Go in there now. What that's for is for any attributes that you set up. You're supposed to be able to go from project to project based on what's in there. All right. Now this morning when I tried doing that, I just put it. I was going through a tutorial, and the guy just called it basically my services. All right. So you can type that into, and really the caseless doesn't even matter. All right. Then the other one, the one that comes after it, which says resource group, he created, again, he clicked the down arrow and chose create and called it my resources. All right? You do have to choose the region of the country. I think there's one in there that's central US. You may have to look for it a little bit, but I believe there's one that's central US. All right? And leave where they got the database thing, don't put anything there. Okay, so you've got that. Did you find it? Okay. So when that's done, now you could get an error here. I was getting some errors when I did this morning. So just click the button to go on. I'm trying to figure out why yours worked right away. Theirs didn't work right away. It's almost as though I put something on there. You don't have Amazon Web Services on your machine, do you? Okay, so that's not what it is. See, mine did this too. It sat there, and they even say that they tell you this can take up to 5 minutes, depending on your connection speed.
My sign-in was different, or my register was different than his anyway, so.
Now, if it comes back and if you get an error, this is what I was digging through this morning and trying to figure out what the problem was. And again, I don't know how many things I looked at this morning. I went online and I was watching videos. I was doing all sorts of stuff, and I couldn't get it to work. That's why to me, it's very funny that putting on that Amazon Web Services and then trying it, then it all worked. I don't know why. But they tell you that this is the only time that when you set this up that it should take this long. You're still spinning around too? But you saw when I did it that it really was not a difficult process. All right, did it give you an error?
Yeah, error during one resource.
Yeah. And just click OK. And that's the same thing that I got. Then I read another thing and it said, well, for your plan, put the word free in there. And I did it, and it did the exact same thing. All right, so like I said, I tried doing this. Did yours come back up, Ivy? Because his did, but it had an error message. Yeah. So I'm stuck. All right. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take this file right here, all right, and I'm going to send it to all of you. I think I can make it into a PDF and send it to all of you. That way you can look through it and you can see if you can get it to work. The good news is, at least with one of you, you got it to work.
What do I do now?
What do you do now?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, just click new,
Okay.
All right. and it should be filling that stuff in for you, basically.
Yep.
Okay, click the down arrow there. There's nothing in there when you click the down arrow? Oh, that's
No,
lovely.
it's still just going,
Okay,
I believe.
well, you can give it a second. You shouldn't have to do anything when it's all done.
This is Visual Studio's
Yeah.
busy.
When it's all done, you should just be able to tell it to next or whatever, and it should bring it up.
Okay.
All right. That's how seamless it's supposed to be. All right. I'm not saying that's how seamless it is. I'm saying that's how seamless it's supposed to be. What should eventually happen is it should come up and look pretty much like this. All right, except yours, of course, won't say Contoso, yours will say Rankin or something like that. All right, and when you run through all of it, okay, and then you click the next button, it's going to come up with a bunch more stuff, and again you click next. This is where you were pretty much, Ethan. All right, and then you come up again and you click OK, and boom, it's supposed to bring it up then. All right. Now that said, I thought the chances of coming in here, if there were 8 of you, there's 7 today, but with 8 of you, I thought the chances of all 8 coming up and publishing without any problem were probably 0.
Should it still take this long to publish?
No.
It's still going.
Yeah. Does it look like it's still spinning?
I mean, it doesn't have any indication that it is, really. It's just whenever I click, it'll just come up and say Visual Studio is
Yeah.
busy.
Mine did not take that long. All right. Not knowing your machine or whatever, I'm not positive.
This is yours. This is yours.
I don't know, that's the thing. So, I tried to redo it, and I typed in the word out, so it seems to use the usual set itself.
Can I just fix the rules?
No.
We really won't like it.
You are kidding me. What is going on here? All right.
I don't think I've ever used the transfer drop this until now.
I just emailed all of you this as a PDF. All right, so you have that, so you'll be able to take a look at it. What we have to do is to come up with a way, some kind of mechanism, and I don't think that Amazon Web Services is going to be any better, where everyone is able to log on and everyone is able to publish it to the web. I'm checking out a couple more possibilities, and I'll have those for you tomorrow. Now, here's my question. You know that tomorrow your assignment is due. Everybody's got that, right? All right. You also know what this particular project looks like. Okay, I'm going to close this. So when I run this, so right now, your project looks like this, correct? Everybody's does. Now, this is what I was thinking, was to basically have you make changes to this one similar to the ones that you made for the assignment that's due tomorrow. I'll write this down, but just hear me out and listen here. So right now, I don't like this. I don't like these in there as links. If you want to leave them in there, you can. But we went through last time how to go in and change the file to add those in here as other options, right? Okay? So that's what I want you to do. Now, if you remember, what we had is we've got three tables, right? We've got students, we've got courses, and we've got enrollments. So all you have to do for the first and third one are to take these right there and convert those so that they would go up here. So up here you'd have students, enrollments, and I want you to come in and add another one for courses. Does that make sense? All right. You can put another link in here if you want to. I don't care. So if you want to say list of courses, if you think it looks better to have those hyperlinks out of there, then remove them. If you think it looks better to have the hyperlinks in there, then keep them. But if you're going to have three options up here and you want to keep the hyperlinks, you really should have three hyperlinks. Does that make sense? All right. The other thing is, well, remember what we call this, right? It's Rankin. So, we know that Rankin's colors are red and white. So I think you should come in and change and come up with some kind of a theme or something where that's what your pages will look like. Again, you should come up here, and that's a bad looking Jumbotron right now. You should fix the Jumbotron so it looks something more reminiscent of what you actually have. So imagine the scenario where you're creating this for Rankin Technical College. Does that make sense? All right. Now, it's we're not going to sit there and actually take the time to put in all the students who are at Rankin, all the courses that are available at Rankin, and all of the enrollment stuff that's available. We're just going to keep the records that we have. But I'm going to ask you to update it. Again, I think there's no reason why you couldn't change the About page and you couldn't change the Contact page so they at least were something that made more sense. Maybe, for example, for the Contact page, you just want to put down, for more information, Contact or whatever. Or, if you want to register online, you could put a contact form in there, something like that.
With the About page, do you want to send it to your creator, or can you link it to the Rankin website, like the Rankin? Or
Well, that's I don't care if you pull stuff from the Rankin website, put it in there directly. That's fine. All right, that actually might be better. Yes.
What's gigabyte per minute? What minute is scroll through resource group? Still often better to on this dashboard. I want to
things that are yours?
I don't, no, these are not mine as far as I know.
I'm not sure what that is. I haven't seen that screen before, so.
Gotcha.
So I'll write something up right now as far as kind of what I'd be looking for. But hopefully between that and finishing your assignment that's due tomorrow, you'll have enough stuff to do for the rest of the period. All right. And I'm going to continue to investigate a couple of other free products that I know are free, and I want to see if I can deploy the website to a free product. If we get that, I will both tape that tomorrow morning, and we'll go over it for the first hour tomorrow, and then the rest of the period will be a lab. All right. Thursday will be lab all period. Tell you this real quick. I'm hoping to catch Mr. Corrigan in a really good mood, because I'd like to ask him if he'd have any problems with me leaving at 3 on Thursday. If I leave on 3 on Thursday, then you can leave at 3 on Thursday. All right? Unless he says, oh yeah, I'll stick around for the last hour and a half. And then there's nothing I can do about it. But I can get 2 hours of my 5-hour drive back in the daylight, and I'd like to do that if I can. These eyes are getting kind of night blind, and I don't really want to drive the whole way back at night if I can help it. All right. I'm going to also ask if I can do the same thing the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I'm going to see if we can get done at 3 o'clock on that day too, for the same kind of reason, just so I can leave them. And I'm hoping he says okay, because I worked 6 hours on Saturday for no pay. All right. And I also went out to the junior high school for STEM night for 2.5 hours on Thursday. So as soon as he lets me know, I'll let you know. But I'm going to write up a spec sheet for this next assignment, and it'll be due next Wednesday. All right. And again, I'm going to think about what we're going to do next. All right. There is another one. You know, we just did the database first one, right? They have an equivalent one of the database first one, where you start with the code first. The problem is instead of it being 7 lessons like the one I went through with you, there's 13 lessons, and the first 3 lessons are all 30 pages long each. And there's a ton of code you have to write. I just don't know. I don't want us to start on something that we can't finish. All right? So I'm trying to see if there's something out there that I can give you and modify that we can use.